What is it like being a white South African woman in 2018?
Gosh, I think 2018 has changed the landscape a bit for us. I don't know what is happening that I can't really explain necessarily, but things have changed in my experience this year. I have a number of friends for the first time, and white friends, who are worried, genuinely worried about what is going to happen for them as white people. I think the struggle is starting to be felt in ways where, you know, most of my friends are die-hard South Africans, we will stay till the end, and all of a sudden there's a very conscious shift in their thinking. They're afraid for their children, for opportunity, and it's something I haven't experienced before until this point. I know we've had multiple shifts in this country, but something has significantly changed. There's a level of fear and concern for our future.
Are you scared?
Am I scared? Look, it's a difficult question for me to ask because I'm not in a corporate world. I'm not facing demotions or lack of opportunity in my career. I work in ministry. I'm a school teacher. At this point, it's not affecting me. So I think the question, who you ask it to, you'll get a different answer. So I'm not scared particularly. But then again, and this is something we've talked about, I'm from a British background, so I have a British passport. And so I have probably a different lens going, if everything cracks down, and like my friends are feeling who don't have that, I've got a way out.
Yeah.
And that's a reality that I have. I've got a privilege of it and an opportunity if I need to. But maybe there's your answer.
Yeah.
I've got an escape clause, and the fact that I'm saying that means there is something going on.
So the changes in the landscape, the changes in opportunity, people feeling like they have less opportunity. Do you feel like this is something that should be happening?
Okay, so this is a personal view, so I want to express that because I think even along my friend lines, people have very different views about that. If I step back and look, when something's happening to you specifically, if I'm losing a job or if my children can't get into a school or whatever, becomes a very different question. But because it's not affecting me directly right now, my view is the change has to happen. It must happen. You can't destroy a whole country and then go, okay, everything's fine, and let's just leave it as it is and for it to get right. The change must happen. Like the BEE process must happen, equality must happen, and there has to be a strategic plan for it to happen. And at the same time, it's really, really difficult to watch that happen to people that you know. It's such a difficult tension to hold because you know it needs to happen. If it happened rightly and justly, which is, I think, the bigger concern for a lot of people.
Do you think you understand? Do you think you know or have any understanding at all of what black people in this country have been through?
Not a clue. Not a clue. I think I'm an intuitive person to kind of feel a room and figure out what people are like by nature. So I'm probably more of an inquiring mind than other people. And even with that kind of personality, I'm so unaware. And I think conversations that we've had, particularly you and I and with some other of our friends, has completely freaked me out to see the reality. And I'm dealing with people who've had opportunity and you're in a middle class, but knowing your backgrounds and some of the things that your families went through, when you actually start to hear it and hear of people that you know and their stories that are real, it's left us quite broken. Yeah, and I don't even think we have the slightest clue of what the average South African black family has gone through.
Yeah, I was about to ask you that. Do you think white people in general have an understanding of the realities of being black? Other than, because what happens is you find that because you went to school with a black person, because post 92 this was possible, or because you go to work with them, or because you see them in your suburb, you think everyone's pretty much okay. Do you think there's a general understanding And what do you think the level of understanding is from white people of what black people have been through? Just in your own opinion.
I think, again, I live in a bubble, so I live in the Fourways, Bryanston, Sandton bubble, which means the snapshot of what we get is pretty decent, I think. It's only people in middle class, and even so, most of the black people I know have their kids in private schools, so we're not dealing with the average at all, and that's what we're seeing. We know that there's a history, we know that there's pain. Our friends that we went to school with, for those of us who bothered to have the conversation, we realised there was a conversation, we've got a bit of insight into the difficulty of the transition and all of that, but we have no idea. And if we think about it, most of us still have domestic workers rocking up, doing our ironing, whatever, but most of us don't even know their stories, their children.
Or have never seen their homes.
No, we don't know. And there's also not it's this weird thing of, it's not that people don't care, they don't even know that there is a story. Because it's been a thing for so long that nobody's even said, hey, do you know that there is a story behind this person who's in your home every day? Yeah, we don't, I mean, I hope I don't misrepresent other people, but I don't think most white people really have a clue at all. We know that there's poverty, and most white people feel really bad that there's poverty, but there's not a connection between why the poverty is there.
So I know when I say to other black people, white people don't know, they always say they don't want to know. What do you make of that? Because the response is always, if they wanted to know, they would know. They don't care enough to know.
Look, that might be true for some people, because, you know, everyone's got their own story, but I think it's that they genuinely don't know, and they don't know what they don't know.
So you don't know what you don't know, yeah.
So an example of that is me telling my parents a little bit about some of the stories we've been sharing. And for the first time, I mean, they're close to their 70s, and Dad's in their 70s, and their eyes filled with tears, like, the first time they're hearing something so painful and going, what? Do you mean? Yeah. You don't know what you don't know, and that's equally true of us who have been more exposed to it. So my parents' generation have no idea, and yes, they know that things were wrong, they know apartheid was wrong, but they don't really understand. And I don't think they know what the right questions are to ask, because we've been so brainwashed for so long, and I'm probably only on the slightly inside of that line. Because every time we talk, and every time you have an experience and you share it with me, I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? And then it makes me angry on your behalf, because I know as a person.
What's your hope? What's your hope for South Africa? What's your hope for the different races in South Africa?
Sure. To be honest with you, I think we have one hope, and that is God, and I'm not saying that to be frivolous or religious, because what I realize is that our hearts are so hard. So if we weren't in a post-apartheid South Africa, we would be somewhere else on the planet, and we would be dealing with other issues because of our sinful hearts. Our hearts are against God and against each other, and we will use any excuse to do it. So if I was Chinese, I'd hate the Koreans. I mean, you actually go anywhere in the world and you realize it's humanity. We are proudful and we're arrogant by nature. And so in some ways that makes me scared, because it means if God doesn't act to do something in the hearts of our people, then our hearts won't change. But my hope has to be in God, and that He's for justice and He's for people. And so when we're seeing things like these conversations, then I go, okay, then there is hope, because God is working, and He has to work in the heart of man for anything to change. Because I think you can put structures and systems in place like BEE or whatever the next thing might be, to put systems in place that correct injustice, but you can't change a person's heart. So you can get the things right, and the heart's not going to change. And you can see that in certain areas. You'll go to certain restaurants, certain things, and this bubbling aggression against the other. But we've got such a label for it and so much history for it. But I think the issue is it's much deeper than race. It's a core, fundamental human being issue. And that makes it actually a bigger problem. And so our hope is in God. And I mean that. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you for just sharing Thank you for the courage to share where you're at, your fears, hopes for South Africa as a white South African woman. Thank you.
Pleasure.